Welcome to what is essentially the beginning of a bit of a mini arc here on the channel. I've always wanted to delve into the Fallout lore, but I kinda held back because I wanted to finish the Fallout New Vegas playthrough first. And we've already done that a while back, finally had enough time to get around to this. And so today I'm going to be starting off with a video that you guys suggested to me, even though I'm not like a massive fan of the whole post-apocalyptic setting. I still enjoyed the game because of the characters, the story, and the different mechanics that were present there. And I honestly wish that more open-world RPGs took inspiration from Fallout New Vegas. But yeah, I'm really curious to know what Actman thought of New Vegas and kind of give my own thoughts of while also reminiscing about my playthrough. But of course, you guys know the drill. Please go and support the original video before watching this reaction. I do pause a lot, and it's not going to be the greatest first watch if you've never seen this video before. And the link to that will be at the very top of the description, like always.
You got the views you were after, so pay up. You're crying to the subs, Pally. Guess who's waking up over here?
Oh man. How long ago did we see this cutscene? It's the very first episode.
Will you get it over with? Maybe cons liked Fallout 4, but I ain't a fink. Dig? You've clicked on your last video, kid.
Oh no!
Sorry you got twisted up in this review.
No!
From where you're viewing, it must seem like an 18-karat run of bad clickbait. Truth is, New Vegas was awesome from the start.
Always has been. Damn, cool skit. It's really hitting me with this wave of nostalgia now. And now, oh god, all of a sudden, the only thing I can think of is the bear and the bull and the bull and the bear. What a DLC, man. I love the intro for the game, though. It's so iconic, and it really thrusts you straight into the world without having to sit there and explain to you everything that's going on. I don't regret playing this as the first Fallout game I've ever played. It's kind of unfortunate, though, that a lot of people said that it's kind of like the best one. It depends on people's opinions. I think a lot of people enjoy, was it 2 or 3? I forget. But yeah, I don't currently have any plans to try out any of the other Fallout games yet. You never know. That might change in the future, but we'll see. Acting male production.
The Fallout series is easily one of the most recognized and beloved in all of gaming. With its nihilist,
which is super unfortunate, or maybe fortunate for me, because I didn't know anything about it until we got into New Vegas. Like, I knew about the post-apocalyptic and the nuclear war stuff, but outside of that, I never actually played one of these games.
Tone, diverse characters and factions, all with deep history and lore, Fallout defines the word nuclear. Nuclear? I mean, just look at how cute Vault Boy is. Fallout's also unique because it's really funny and cheerful at times.
Try not to smile so wide, baby. You might break your mouth.
You know, because post-apocalyptic stories aren't usually happy.
They're usually depressing, yeah.
But in Fallout, you've got this really dark sense of humor.
Stop! What the fuck are you doing? My brother died at the Battle of Hoover Dam. You're desecrating a war memorial.
You're a little bitch and your brother was too.
Oh, now it's on!
But to truly appreciate what an accomplishment New Vegas is, we gotta head down to the Strip, baby. Why are people able to put thousands of hours into this single-player game?
I am not surprised that people put that many hours, especially with all the different mods that are currently available for the game too. And now, well, I'm sure a lot of people wish that Obsidian had more time to really work on this game, to truly flesh it out without all the different bugs that are currently there. And probably a ton of cut content too. Because like, even with the things that are still available, there's so much to do and so many different ways things can go. It's mind-boggling. And this is what you expect from a single-player open-world RPG game, as opposed to a lot of the other stuff that we've gotten so far, which sometimes really feels like your choices don't matter.
How is the combat customization and RPG mechanics? Why is the story and characters so captivating? Is New Vegas a world worth diving into? And why did this snazzy-looking man just shoot me in the face? Well, let's patrol the Mojave Wasteland, grab our Pip-Boy, and make our last delivery
Makes
kid
you wish for a
straight
nuclear winter.
into this. With the first 2 Fallouts releasing in back-to-back years, it would take another
Yeah, the first 2 Fallout games are very different from the Fallouts that I've at least seen screenshots of and a little bit of gameplay. There was a lot of interesting lore, though, that was referenced in New Vegas to these 2 different games.
10 and a complete buyout of the IP from Bethesda to turn Fallout into what it is today, which, oh shit.
Lovely.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Go back, how do I turn this thing off? Most people entered the franchise with 3, considered one of the GOATs, but for some hardcore fans, Fallout 3 was missing something that 2 and 1 had.
Yeah, whatever, asshole.
Regardless, it's difficult for any developer to snatch a series away from its creators and still keep the same feeling
Very
and
intriguing
identity.
character.
Often we end up with something that feels like a knockoff. Other times the world
Oh man, we're playing through the Halo series currently. We finished Combat Evolved, and I'm waiting for Leo to come back from vacation so we can start up too, but man, I'm not looking forward to when we kind of hit the end of that and get into the arc where things kind of go, not so great when it comes to the story. It's super unfortunate because it's just so good. And while I don't truly understand, or how's a better way to put it, I can't fully appreciate the feelings that OG Fallout fans might have for how the newer games are handling things, I can somewhat understand it based off of what I played from New Vegas and what I've heard of the next up Fallout games, where a lot of that specific charm to Fallout is kind of lost and a lot of things are interpreted differently. Perhaps a bit of nuance lost, especially with certain factions like the Brotherhood of Steel.
is tortured with the release of something like, believe it or not, Fallout already has a cheap knockoff. It's called 76. Honestly, Bethesda deserves a lot of credit for taking the series into 3D. If you don't like 3, just remember we wouldn't have Vegas without it. But there was room for improvement. And while Bethesda was busy developing the only good game they'd release for the next 10 years, in 2008, they reached out to Obsidian with an exceptional offer. So, you want us to make a sequel to Fallout 3, Todd, my boy? That's right, but here's the catch, baby. You got 18 months, dig? 18 months? Are
18
you mad?
months is
It better get an
insane, bro.
85 on Metacritic or else you won't be getting a bonus, kid. You ain't a fink, are ya? Bitch, don't you know how long this takes?
We wanted to make sure, when looking at the mechanics for the game, that we weren't trying to reinvent the wheel. A lot of people like Fallout 3. A lot of people like Fallout 3. So the experience should feel familiar to them.
Obsidian didn't have time to reinvent the wheel. What we ended up with was more like a spin-off, expansion, since it looks, feels, and plays almost identical on a technical level. But then
I'm curious to know how Fallout 3 was written, however, because the reason why I really enjoy old Obsidian, that was back when I was playing the Knights of the Old Republic 2, and some of the writing there, especially in regards to some of the darker events, or just straight up the dark side path, was actually a lot more interesting than I thought it would be, and they had a much more nuanced take on things than your usual black and white take on good and evil. Or hell, I do recall that there was this voice clip, I believe. I forget the actual context for it, but it was pretty early on into KOTOR 2 of this guy just like screaming because he was getting absolutely demolished by a robot. And normally in other games, at the very least, except if it's a horror game, they would cut off right before that happened. But no, the line just kept on recording, and we had to sit there and listen to all of that, which was incredibly shocking and also just so much fun. It sounds really weird out of context, and I look like a bit of a psychopath, but what I'm saying is that I appreciate the way that Obsidian writes their stories.
Bethesda couldn't have contracted a studio better for the job. Coincidentally, Obsidian was made up of many who worked on the originals. Clearly, this was a team that understood
So they knew what they
Fallout's
were doing.
identity, something that Bethesda is really struggling with nowadays. Obsidian also
Yikes.
made Knights of the Old Republic 2, which, if you're following the pattern here, is
Hell
also a sequel
yeah.
to a critically acclaimed game that for some reason was given less than 2 years to develop.
But like, why? Why did I ended up playing both of these games, and they were awesome, but they were both unfinished. Why? Oh, man. And I know there's probably going to be some people in the comments bringing up that New Obsidian just isn't as good as you think they are, Zero, but I'm like, I know, maybe they feel like a different company because the people who were originally there aren't there anymore, so things are going to change, right? But I could still appreciate what old Obsidian was able to do with the little time that they had and the type of IPs they were handling. It still sucks so goddamn much that the KOTOR remake probably isn't going to become real. I think that is just money. That's just money waiting to be had, but nobody sees this potential.
Both New Vegas and KOTOR 2 were extremely ambitious. Had fantastic writing, large in part due to Chris Avalon.
I love it.
Seriously, this dude deserves way more recognition. To make anything halfway decent in the game industry typically takes 2 to 3 years.
Bro.
Somehow Obsidian just pulled it together on New Vegas just as they did before. So without even getting a glance at Doc Mitchell's fantastic mustache, New Vegas is already an accomplishment simply because it exists. Fallout New Vegas has been the most requested review on this channel for the last 2 years, large in part due to the efforts of the NCR Trooper.
Patrolling the Mojave Wasteland almost makes you wish for the act manticore. Why was Fallout New Vegas so awesome review?
Yes, I see.
Patrolling the Mojave Wasteland almost makes you wish for the act Mojave Wasteland.
Holy bejesus, bro.
Patrolling the Mojave Wasteland.
This reminds me of when I was streaming the game. Like, every single time I'd start the stream, after the very first time I had heard that line of patrolling the Mojave makes you wish for a nuclear winter, that was kind of the meme that kept on going on in chat. I appreciated it, but I do have PTSD whenever I hear that line.
Shut up! Will you shut up?
Only after I put 50 hours into New Vegas and stood atop Hoover Dam waving the flag of a two-headed bear did I finally understand why so many people love this game. New Vegas wastes no time in pulling you in. As the soothing voice of Frank Sinatra massages your ears, you see some troopers waving flags on the dazzling streets. Some robots go by, and then...
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Priority 1.
We see a different group of troopers head into the city. The camera pans out further to a remote location, and we hear the all-too classic phrase.
War never changes.
Ron Perlman gives us the juicy backstory. The atomic war, vaults, and everyone who emerged to form tribes in the wasteland.
Not gonna lie, I completely forgot that the war never changes line was here. I'm sure I asked this during that very first stream, but like, was this where it originated from? And it's been in a bit of a meme ever since. It's kind of a meme, but also true. Unfortunately true.
We catch a glimpse of the two most important locations, Hoover Dam and a city untouched by nuclear fallout. The narration might lead most everyone to believe who the good guys and bad guys are. But New Vegas plays with a stacked deck, baby, and this is one of its many tricks. More importantly, the opening sparks no shortage of questions and sets the player on a journey for answers.
Why?
Who was this man and his accomplices? Who told you that Mohawk looked good?
Not gonna lie, I was probably wondering that too, but I was appreciating the cutscene, so I don't think I commented on it.
Why did he want us dead? Where can I get that suit? What were we delivering, and to who?
Yeah, what was the poker chip
Find out
about?
next time on Fallout Ball Z. New Vegas gives you, just the tastiest slice of everything it has to offer over the next 40 hours in roughly 5 minutes. So having been shot in the head and left for dead in an unmarked grave, you, the courier, cheat death. Oh man,
How about that?
my head. I had a dream I stopped playing video games for a day.
Whoa, easy there. Easy.
Stop playing video games for a day.
You've
What a
been out
nightmare.
cold a couple of days now. How about your name? Can you tell me your name?
My name? Acting Mailman.
can't say that's what I'd have picked for you, but if that's your name,
Perfect.
that's your name.
If you didn't just take a bullet out of my head, I'd kick your ass, Doc.
There's a lot of angles to this caper. Complexities aplenty.
Now it's time for one of the best character creators in gaming. And no, it's not because of the visuals. The music is oddly soothing and unsettling at the same time. Really powerful piece, and to my knowledge, it's the only time you hear it. Dr. Mustache wants to know who you main in League of Legends, what sort of playstyle you prefer. He does this by asking your opinions on some fine art. Yo, that's definitely two bears high.
Yeah, that's what I said. There's nothing but two bears high-fiving each other with like a nuclear mushroom cloud in the background. That would be an awesome flag. If that was a flag of the NCR, I'd be on the NCR side, man.
Now this is such a great way to introduce decision-making to the player. The world of New Vegas is defined by the...
That's actually a good point, because it's introduced to you right from the start during character creation, and is involved in the game mechanics that you'll be playing with going forward. So it serves as a character creator as well as a tutorial, all while being intriguing and feeling more of a natural flow of conversation than most character creators are, where they just kind of thrust you into a blank room and then say create your character.
The vast stretches of the Mojave Wasteland. But what really drives the player's experience in that wasteland is how they build their character.
There's so many different ways you can build your character.
Greatest strength, choice. Immediately, I could tell there were tons of deep mechanics, so much so that it's very overwhelming in the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe my parents...
Oh yeah, dude. I was so overwhelmed by the amount of choices, and even more so because I was streaming the game, and so many people were like trying to make suggestions and backseat me. It was a lot. I ended up going with more of a thematic build and going full science man, which honestly was really fun. But I've heard that melee builds can be amazing, and obviously getting different stats and doing things different ways can lead to very different outcomes. So yeah, when Ackman says that the choices do matter, it really did feel like they mattered a lot here in this game.
Didn't put enough points into my intelligence, but starting a character is pretty daunting. What's this? How does VATS work? What does crippling limbs do? How in Easy Pete's name do I hack terminals? No, seriously.
Oh my goodness, yeah, when I first did this, I had no idea what this was. So I was just kind of sitting there, reading chat, just pressing things at random, trying to get things right. Ultimately, like, when you figure this out, it's not too bad, but it's a lot more complex than a lot of other, like, lock-picking mini-games, quote-unquote, in other video games.
Seriously, what am I supposed to do? Why does my gun only fire when it feels like it?
I don't really feel like it.
If you're new to Fallout and trying to understand how everything works right from the start, just
Too
play
much.
it. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Sitting down and reading every single thing and trying to figure things out right from the get-go is impossible. You just gotta go out there and, I guess, just jump into the pool. You'll learn how to swim, and if you don't, you'll sink, and, well, that's that. That could be a criticism of this game, where if you don't know anything at all about Fallout and then you jump in here, or if you're like me and you never played any open world RPG like this ever before, then it can be incredibly overwhelming and you're not going to really understand or truly appreciate all the choices that you've just made, which may alienate some potential players, but I hesitate to say so because every single thing afterwards is so worth like the turmoil that you're going to experience at the beginning. And eventually, I think everybody starts to get in, starts to understand exactly what kind of world we're in, what kind of game you're playing.
You'll get the hang of things. Unless you're stupid like me and didn't know how to equip different ammo types until 35 hours in. Nor did I ever use a workbench to do anything besides recycle ammo. And that's when I had a revelation.
Not gonna lie, I was in the exact same spot for probably the majority of the playthrough. I don't think I even swapped ammo at all because I never felt like it was necessary. I already had some pretty good weapons that were doing a lot of damage anyways. And I think the only thing that I really committed to getting materials to craft were the weapon repair kits, which honestly is probably all that you need. New Vegas isn't that hard, unless if you're playing on hardcore, then you're asking for it.
It got me thinking, how many ways I wasn't using the sandbox and tools around me. What quests did I miss? Which areas did I never
probably
visit?
miss a ton of
what
things.
else is this game hiding from me? It's these very questions that have no doubt led people to put thousands of hours into a single-player game, uncovering every nook and cranny possible. A lot of RPGs fall into the pit of focusing too much on the numbers, Mason. How high is your light level, Guardian? Nobody cares, Zavala. You don't like the light? Most first-person shooters don't have RPG mechanics, and those that do
Never
are
played
often
Destiny.
pretty shallow about it. New Vegas caters to fans of RPGs and shooters because you can play the numbers game if you really want to whoop ass, but you can still survive the wasteland if you don't. What makes New Vegas special, pun intended, is just how many ways you can play it. This is where all the different skills and special stats come in. These will do things like get you better prices at shops, repair weapons easier, or do you want to blow shit up and send people's limbs flying across the desert? Want to be a skilled marksman who snipes from a distance? You can do that.
Yeah, you can do
But
any
what
build
about
that you
the
want.
perks, baby? Let's do a little
They're all
comparison.
viable.
This is how many perks were in the original Fallout. Here's 2. This is 3, 4, and this is how many perks are in New Vegas. Some perks will give you
Jeez
unique
Louise,
dialogue
man.
options,
There's something I like about you. You just seem really understanding.
help you see better in the dark, give you an extra special point, allow you to tame animals. A lot of perks are going to be based on your playstyle. Let's say you want to sell a bunch of
It's super cool because it gives me the same feeling as when I'm looking up whenever my character is about to level up in D&D and all the cool new stuff that I could put onto my character. Although, well, I am playing Paladin, so maybe it's a bit more streamlined. I'm sure if I was playing some sort of like mage class or something, there would be so many choices I'd have to make, especially in regards to the type of spells that I want to pick up. But comparatively to my experience leveling up my Paladin, I felt like New Vegas was much broader in scope. There were so many more things I could be doing. So many different ways I could build my specific build with the type of weapons that I was using. And that would just completely change my playstyle. Hell, I didn't even utilize any of the mines and stuff like that, which I'm sure some people could probably figure out some build where they become super useful and are great in combat. It's hard for me to imagine so, but the amount of things you can do in the game makes me believe that that's possible.
stuff but are tired of managing your inventory. Well, there's a perk that lets you fast travel while you're over encumbered. So just head to Good Springs, drop all that good shit off, bing bang boom, you're on your way. This is how perks are supposed to be in role-playing games. Not just a number boost, but you should be unlocking a part of the game that you couldn't previously use. In Fallout 3, you can become a godlike being and excel in absolutely every category. New Vegas forces you to create a more specific
Forces you to
playstyle.
specialize, yeah.
You know, in other games
Special.
when you can convince people to jump off a cliff or kill their best friend, you know, the fun stuff. But even in one of my all-time favorites, whether or
KOTOR.
not you convince people to do good or bad things is determined by a single stat.
Credits will do fine.
So if you put points into that, you can breeze through every conversation. New Vegas.
Basically, I think for both KOTOR 1 and 2, the most important stat is persuasion. Just level that shit up.
Is different. It's genius. Because while there is a speech stat that handles most of those conversations,
There are other things you can do
sometimes
too.
you need to be an expert in another area. Like if you don't know squat about explosives, Easy Pete won't help you out. And then what are you gonna do?
Too dangerous. Sorry. Blow yourself up. Blow your neighbor up. Blow the whole town up.
At some point or another, every skill has an
Dude, this was my favorite DLC. This DLC was so damn good. And I am most certainly not biased. But just the voice acting throughout the entirety of the game was top notch. And obviously there were certain parts where it would feel a little bit off, but they were usually like random NPCs, and the only reason why they felt off was because every other character was so freaking good. Like the VA cast in this game is stacked, bro. You just meet some random doctor that they turn out to be Laura Bailey, or some dude runs up to you saying that they won the lottery, and that just happens to be Yosuke from Persona 4. And while I don't know the specific VAs for these robots, or I don't think they'd appreciate me calling that, the things that we have on screen right now, the doctors, the scientists, the voice acting for all of them was amazing. And especially one of them really creeped me out.
Influence on dialogue, some more than others, but you won't be able to win them all.
Third floor access is for executives only. Please identify.
I got you some ice cream.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
You literally cannot experience everything New Vegas has to offer in a single playthrough.
Yes.
If you put all your points into lockpicking, you can open everything, but you can't convince this kid to buy drugs from you. And that's a real tragedy.
Red never touches Kims.
New Vegas is based on trade-offs. Trades give you positive and negative bonuses right from the start, and these are gonna severely affect your playstyle. Best of all, if you picked Wild Wasteland, you get to fight aliens and see all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, we did pick
Often in
Wild
RPGs,
Wasteland.
at some point your character becomes
pretty fun
so
with some of the
overpowered,
references.
it takes all the decision-making out of leveling up, because you're gonna kick the game's ass whether or not you can be noticed underwater. Every time I leveled up in
Really? That's a little bit unfortunate to hear about Cyberpunk. I was kind of excited to one day get to play Cyberpunk, and this certainly wasn't motivated by the fact that Lucy from Edge Runners got into Guilty Gear Strive or anything like that. But I've heard that the game is significantly better than it was on launch now, so I figured, hey, I love sci-fi, I kind of love the aesthetic of the whole series, I might want to give it a shot someday.
New Vegas, I took a solid 5 minutes to look over my options. Skills, perks, traits,
There's a lot of things to look
challenges,
at, and how
all
they
these
interconnect with
mechanics
each
work
other.
together in harmony. That's why this game has such a satisfying progression and fair challenge. What's that? Oh yeah, I guess we're still in the tutorial. Well, thanks for the Pip-Boy, Doc. Hope I don't come back to kill you later. And now, my friends, let the great journey into the Mojave Wasteland begin.
Crash.
Patrolling the
happens.
Mojave Wasteland almost makes you wish New Vegas would stop crashing. Normally I'd be a lot more critical of... What in the goddamn do I really gotta talk about?
There's a particular Steam guide. It's like one of the most popular Steam guides if you sort them by popularity, and it lists out a ton of quality of life mods and stability mods that you can use to help both modernize the game, clean up the visuals, and clear out some of the bugs. I used the majority of those, and we only crashed a couple of times throughout the playthrough, so if you ever get your hands on it and you're ever interested in playing the game, I highly recommend checking that guide out.
Experimenting some technological differences.
If it wasn't a stupid decision to make this game in 18 months, whoever decided to stop patching New Vegas, you gave it a bad rap. I get it, playing older titles, you gotta lower your standards, but if I have to install mods to make something playable, I'm sorry, but you lost karma with me.
That is true, and it's very unfortunate. Not everybody is willing to do that, and not everybody is like computer savvy enough to start installing mods on video games. I'm certainly no stranger to modding video games, but other people may want to just buy a game and play it, and that's completely understandable. So yeah, there is a bit of a barrier to entry here. In a similar fashion to the older Dawn of War games. Well, at least until they release the new remake here, which hopefully runs a lot better. But I do recall having to figure out how to get the original game, the Anniversary Edition, to work on my PC properly or display on my 4K screen, which involved sifting through some forums and whatnot, and it's the usual stuff that you'd expect from these type of old games. I would really love if they made Fallout New Vegas at least more stable. I hesitate to say modernized, because at that point you don't really know what they're going to change. But at the very least, maybe run without having to install mods.
New Vegas is far from a perfect game, and that's what is so
Yeah, no, it's
tragic.
not.
Let's say it was remastered and played on a new engine, bam, just like that, it's in the conversation for top 20 video games of all time. Bethesda's legacy is so inescapable that even when they commission other people to make games for them, they're still riddled with bugs. And not just ants.
Hey, that really sucked!
Writing, combat, world design, music, everything else is perfect. But that's the thing. All of my problems with New Vegas...
if you're going to stream the game as well, be careful of the radio music. A lot of it is copyrighted, so you may want to get a mod that mutes the radios just in case. That said, it does ruin the experience a bit, and a lot of the references that people make about some of the music that you hear often, or like radio messages that you get over the radio if you're just traveling through the desert, that also help flesh out the characters and the story and world build for you. It's just not going to be present there, unfortunately. It almost makes me want to just get rid of those mods that saved me for the copyright. I just played the game on my own again sometime. If only I had the time to do so.
On the technical level, would have been nice to spruce up the animations, improve the visuals, make the AI better.
Why don't we just wait
not
here
A
for a while,
more than I.
see what happens.
But I imagine the jankiness, crashing, and lack of polish were all due to the rush deadline. So if you can bite your tongue when the game inevitably crashes, if you can look past the technical problems, and you really should, what you'll find is an experience like none other.
The gameplay
So your
makes up
first
for
goal
it.
is to track down the man who shot you and also find out who these two goons are. Answers lie in New Vegas. If you talk to folks around Good Springs, they'll tell you how to play the game. And this series of quests introduces you to every single mechanic, and it's brilliant. You get to barter with a merchant, talk to an explosives expert, repair a radio, there's a terminal you can hack, you learn about karma and fame, there's some geckos and manises to kill. The starting area of Good Springs offers something useful for every single skill, and that informs the player. Hey, this is what you can do with this talent in the future. But shucks, we need some conflict. Turns out there's a fierce rivalry between the local powder gangers and the citizens of Good Springs, which is an identical setup to the final quest. You're given two options. If you defend the town, you need to visit each person.
I actually never thought of that, with the powder gangers versus the people of Good Springs being the same as the Legion versus the NCR. But fundamentally, yeah, it's just on a different scale. Huh. That's really neat with how thought out the journey is. And this is something I've been saying a lot more recently too, where even if the game has a really good ending, it's super hard to get there or be invested in that ending if the journey there wasn't worth it, and there wasn't some sort of progression of difficulty that made sense and allowed the situation to escalate in a more natural fashion. I'd say that New Vegas did it pretty well. At least I can't think of any moments that were just straight up pickups. Outside of me purposefully going off the main story quest to pursue some of my side characters' stories, or just a side quest that I really wanted to do.
And rally them together, but convincing them to fight requires a different skill. That's just good game design. The tutorial ensures that no matter how any person creates their character, they'll be useful in some way. The other choice is to side with the powder gangers and kill everyone.
Shit,
yeah.
Thanks for teaching me how to shoot a rifle, Sonny. These are the type of gut-wrenching choices the player has to get used to making. But what New Vegas is, what the Mojave Wasteland really is.
Wait, that's also another good point. That you're getting used to making these gut-wrenching decisions, because ultimately, by the end of the game, there isn't really an ending that is good for everybody. There's going to be somebody that loses, even with the DLCs too. Like, even if everybody survives, their future is uncertain, and you may have just unleashed more evil upon the world. That was something I certainly struggled with throughout the playthrough, and the game really points out your hypocrisy. But hey, the faster you accept that you're also a hypocrite just like the rest of us, the easier it gets.
Is freedom.
When will we be free? You think we can make it? Freedom!
Damn, they did not make it.
You looking for a pat on the back? My mother is dead.
Nice.
At this point, you'll likely head to Prim and follow the main quest, as that's the obvious direction you're given. Don't you want to find Big Dick Ben? Yes, I do, but the people of Prim need me to find a new sheriff and restore order to this lawless land.
I give them the robot
sheriff. The Kaisar has
sheriff.
marked you for death, and the Legion obeys.
God.
But of course, an ambush by Legion ruffians. How dare you destroy Nipton? What's this? I've stumbled across a bitter rivalry between the NCR and the Great Khans?
We've got a situation with some Great Khans right now.
Hold, soldier. I shall negotiate with their chieftain.
What the hell?
Oh, it's one of the guys.
Oh.
You're that courier Benny wasted back in Good Springs.
You're supposed to be dead!
Am I not?
But wait a minute. What if I wanted to go back? All the way back? Is it possible to head directly to the strip right from the start?
But
Obsidian discovered the secret to eternal replayability. Most of the factions and quest lines in New Vegas can be accessed at any point.
Was that meant to be a shocking revelation?
There's never a moment where you get handed a quest and some nutsack is like, "Excuse me, sir, I won't speak to you unless you're level 13. None of that. This gives the player an enormous amount of control over the events of the game and what order they play out. If you know the way, you can skip right to the second act. But the route to do so is much less obvious and more dangerous.
Why are you running?
And that ensures only experienced gamers will know how to get there right away. I completed entire subplots before even being asked to. Alright, listen, trooper. If we're gonna defeat Caesar's Legion— I killed him already. What? Yeah, he said—
Mark my words, you piece of shit.
And then I killed him. Well, you're gonna have to recruit the boomers to our side. This is a group of explosive experts who will kill anyone that gets near their base.
I'm already friends with them.
I already made it over there. Oh, come on. What can I say? The boomers love me. For the Battle of Hoover Dam, you have to visit the Brotherhood of Steel and boomers at Nellis. But I just happened across these places. It's not just the order in which you can do things that makes exploring the Mojave so dynamic. It's also the quest design itself.
It's genius when it works. The amount of layers there are to a quest and the ways that it can go right as well as go wrong are so varied that there were several moments during the playthrough where even people who had a lot of experience playing the game were kind of surprised at the order I was able to do things, or like how certain events played out, that they had never seen it before, which is just a testament to how much thought was put into every single quest.
The whole premise of Fallout is about giving the players at least 3 ways to solve each quest.
For instance, in the Brotherhood of Steel questline, you're told to get rid of an NCR trooper that's stalking them by convincing him to leave or killing him.
Thanks for the information. You may have saved my life.
Next, you have to recover 3 lost holotapes in 3 separate locations and can do so in any order. But then you have a choice between showing the contents of those tapes to Paladin Hardin or by giving them to McNamara. Hardin wants the Brotherhood to continue exploring the wasteland and realize the Brotherhood's true potential, and McNamara wants to keep everyone locked down and safe during this pandemic. Do you notice how every single quest in this chain offers the player some kind of choice? Do you see how it gives you a sense of agency and control? Siding with the Powder Gangers in the fight for Good Springs isn't an obvious option, but even right from the start, New Vegas gives you options. This is what I call the tree branch quest design, and it has to be the most time-consuming type of quest and game to write. But to take this style and apply it to literally every objective in the game is absolutely insane. Cyberpunk was developed over 5 years, and it only managed to do this in one single quest. Just to put things in perspective. Here's another example. When allying with the boomers, you need to gain—
Is that true? Are there just no quests out there like Fallout New Vegas RPG quests? Can Cyberpunk really not live up to at least anything on par with this?
Fane with them, but you're not given a linear series of chores. Instead, Pearl says, hey, here's 10 things you can do, but you only gotta do 5. Like helping a dude find a girlfriend, raising an old bomber from the lake, talking to children.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was
Listen
necessary
to the history
too.
of the boomers. Come on, there's gotta be a boring quest in here somewhere. Go kill ants. There it is. God damn it, even this has layers. These ants are different from every other ant in the game in that they explode if you shoot them with energy weapons.
Yeah.
But also, if you have enough repair skill, you can make a sonic emitter that'll kill them all for you. This is the New Vegas secret to eternal replayability. With every storyline consisting of so many different choices and outcomes, it would take hundreds of hours to see and do it all. No quest is ever as straightforward as it seems. There's one where you're hired as a guard for the Van Graff's weapons store.
We did
you have
this
to
one,
decide
yeah.
who to let in. If you let this guy in,
Boom.
turns out he's a suicide bomber.
They're all dead.
One of my favorite happens in Camp McCarran, where you come across Dr. Hildern, who says, hey buddy, go recover some data from an old vault. There's a lot of plants in there and it's really cool. Well, that sounds like a straightforward fetch quest.
Bro, the amount of PTSD this mission gave me was insane. I always had like a shotgun out whenever I opened up a door or anything, just in case there was this little green man about to jump at me. It was super fun though, and it also interconnected with a lot of the stuff that we saw in the DLC too.
Quest?
I thought it was a fairly straightforward assignment.
You thought?
I just said that. As soon as you walk out the door, his assistant stops you and says, one of the other scientists Hildern sent out there hasn't returned. If you go back to him and ask with enough speech, he'll tell you he sent at least 8 other people there.
I have no evidence that they're dead. 1,000 things could have happened between
Sure, buddy.
Oh, none have returned? Gee, I wonder if anything weird is going on over at Vault 22. Using this knowledge, you can negotiate for more caps, and just by spending a little bit of extra time talking to people, you've not only learned more about the quest and the story and potential
You've
danger,
doubled your reward,
you've gotten
yeah.
a better reward for doing it. We see that the plants have grown throughout the entire...
That's important, that you're actively rewarding your player for exploring different options, or else you wouldn't have any motivation to try these things out because they just consume much more time. And we all have a limited free time available, so give me a good reason.
Creating these spore crawlers and other nasty plants.
Spore
Terminals are
crawlers,
scattered
yeah.
everywhere, detailing what happened, how this got out of control.
I loved reading these terminals and figuring out the events that occurred. It really helped with the world building and the lore, and I also appreciated how they were written. It felt pretty natural, at least when it comes to written language. And it might be weird to say, but yeah, these terminals were kind of my favorite part of diving into these vaults, or really any building that has something occur there.
And you find the missing scientist Keely and the data. She wants you to destroy it so that nobody else uses this to weaponize it. And now the motivations of Hildern become clear. You can lie to Keely and not force a fight, take the data back to Hildern and just forget about it. Or you can destroy the data and return to him empty-handed. New Vegas has so much...
This came up with the question of, if it's something that has been discovered, then would trying to bury it really benefit anybody? Like, would it be better to be known by the right hands than it would be by somebody else in the future? Because it's out there, it's eventually gonna get out there, so what are you gonna do? You can't really say that either answer is wrong or right. At that point, it's a matter of what choice are you gonna make, and then accept the consequences.
Much more going on behind the scenes than it's willing to admit, but if the player is thorough, they can uncover it. It's the most authentic, choose-your-own-adventure story ever told in gaming. That said, yes, you can kill everyone, except children, of course. That wouldn't be fun.
Of course.
Most of the story is all about who you help and why. But being a selfish asshole and killing everyone is literally always an option too.
If you want it,
man down!
Play however you want.
That's what's so cool. The game doesn't break if you kill Doc Mitchell, only your heart will.
No!
New Vegas has incredible writing and characters, but what makes it dynamic is how the story adjusts to your actions. Nobody is so important that the game has to arbitrarily block you from killing them.
You triggered my trap card!
If you kill Kaisar or the president of the NCR, they still wage war against each other, just led by different people. It's possible to get an ending.
Well, that makes complete sense. You can kill the man, but you can't kill the idea. And if I can recall correctly, I killed like a pretty significant leader of the Legion during like either the second or the third stream I ever did. Is in one of the earlier towns where you meet the guy who ran away saying that he won the lottery. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. But because of that, I probably ended up missing out on a lot of a potential quest or just a interesting dialogue. But hey, that's a choice that I made, and I did it.
Slideshow where all the main characters narrate their deaths at the hands of the courier. There is a contingency though. Obviously the player needs certain information, so oftentimes there's like notes or journals. Should you silence them before? What's awesome is how NPCs react to your actions throughout the game.
Caesar's dead. Bet he didn't see this coming when he was having his coffee this morning.
The Legion's aggression will outlive Caesar. Indeed, they'll try to take the dam as a tribute to his memory.
You know that Legion furry Vulpes you meet in Nipton? Well, you're supposed to talk to him later on after you meet Mr. House. But if you kill him, then another Legion guy takes his place and mentions it.
Oh, this did happen to us, and yeah, it was this Vulpes guy that I capped early on. Cool. I never knew how it would play out otherwise.
Crimes against the Legion, including the death of the fearless Vulpes and Kulta, are hereby forgiven.
Vulpes and Kulta,
Recruiting Boone will often make NCR troopers say, "Wish I had a first recon guy looking after me." Once you get the platinum chip, you don't even have to talk to Mr. House. You can just straight up murder him. Killing him before anyone asks you to will give unique dialogue that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Now that that's out of the way, let's
Really?
see. Mr. House was a concern, but someone conveniently dealt with him for us. Oh, that reminds me. You might be happy to know that your efforts haven't gone unnoticed.
The world of New Vegas is always changing around you. Where you go, who you ally with, what groups you destroy, the weapons you use, and how you build your character. It
So
all
freaking
matters
cool.
and makes New Vegas.
It really feels like you have agency over the world itself, too. The things that you do really matter because not only is it just mentioned in the NPC dialogue, but the world itself changes, and how things react to you as well.
Engaging from start to finish. Every playthrough is gonna be different.
Is that the Yes Man ending there?
This
Just a
is the
second ago?
ultimate sandbox game.
Seemed
I
familiar.
don't enjoy killing, but when done righteously, it's just a chore, like any other.
Damn, Joshua.
But for all its successes,
Don't mess
New
with them.
Vegas sure does take its sweet time getting to the good stuff.
The right stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, these little tunneler dudes were not very compelling. They're supposed to be even scarier than the Death Claws, but they really don't look it. They do hurt a lot, but still, man. Maybe you could have designed them a little bit differently.
I think the writing is spectacular, but sometimes I just want to shoot things. So often you'll run into a character, ask a simple question about a man in a checkered suit, and they'll be like, "Oh, that guy? Let me tell you about my life story first." If you don't explore off the beaten path, you'll be begging for a group of Legionnaires to ambush you. But when things do get rolling, ooh, the action's intense.
Can't run from me.
Get him off me! Get him off me! Help me, Boone! New Vegas was able to blend two polar opposite genres together in a way that I don't think any other game has. You've got the fast-paced first-person shooter action mixed with the slower, more tactical strategy of a role-playing game. When you slow things down by using VATS, it's almost like swapping to a turn-based game. While this mostly kicks ass, the combat is often.
Wait, is this also Final Fantasy VII music? I haven't played Final Fantasy VII before, but that's immediately what I thought of when he talked about like swapping it into a turn-based game. Because I recall seeing the initial trailer for the FF7 remake, and how cool it was that they had blended the real-time action with the older turn-based gameplay into one. Which then made me think, wait a minute, that's literally just Fallout New Vegas's VAT system. You could play it like that with every single action that you do if you want to. And it's also the KOTOR system too, where you can technically just pause the game to make a bunch of decisions and then queue up different actions, or you could just do it in real time.
Interrupted by the same thing that plagues a lot of Bethesda games. Having a menu that does everything. Want to swap weapons? Pull out the Pip-Boy. Trying to take drugs, kid? Whip out the Pip-Boy.
Yeah.
Need to heal? Pip-Boy. If this game ever got remastered, I'd love to have the option to quick select healing items, weapons, and drugs. Dark Souls is quick select.
That's actually a good point. I didn't really think of that, but it would be awesome if there were... Well, actually, no. Can you just set up keyboard shortcuts within the menu? if you really wanted to use specific things on the fly. I recall that being a system, and I had it set to like one of my number keys.
The item slots are just so perfect. I don't know why games don't do this more. It keeps the combat moving. But shooty games are only as fun as the tools you use and enemies you fight. Real quick, how many different weapons you think there are in New Vegas? Take a guess. You don't know this. 178.
What? I know that there were a lot of different weapons, but my goodness. 100, past 100?
It's impossible!
Counting unique weapons and DLC, that is straight wild. I felt like every 5 minutes I was finding some cool new piece of tech. It's gotta be challenging to make a hyper unrealistic setting like the end of the world feel genuine. But they did that. Obsidian wanted to make the tech reflect the world around it. So you have modern firearms like M16s, 9mm pistols, stuff that people maybe brought out of the vaults that's considered old world. Then you got makeshift energy weapons, things that people probably made in the 200 years since the Atomic War. Blending futuristic, Western, and modern eras together so successfully is what makes Fallout, well, Fallout. New Vegas never had me question if any part of it was realistic or not. Based on your reputation, certain areas can be inaccessible, at least not without killing everyone. Depending on who you travel with, certain companions will straight up tell you, just so you know, I hate the Legion, and I'll murder each and every one I see. Man, woman, or child. That's great, Boone. I'm gonna leave you here and go strike a deal with Kaisar. But you can sneak into these areas by wearing the outfits of each faction. Not to mention every weapon is given a role, and in order to conquer what the game throws at you, you'll have to pack a variety of different weapons. Some weapons like the flare gun have unique properties that can scare off animals. Others pierce armor better. There's one pistol that calls down a laser from the sky. Mysterious.
I think, unfortunately, we had chosen to make sure that wasn't an option for anybody to use. That was way too much power. But if I recall correctly, there's this one kid in the outside parts of New Vegas who's just running around wielding a toy gun, which apparently that can be used to activate the giant solar cannon. So if you're able to buy it off him, then you can basically just have that be your option. Be your ace in the hole, if you will. Deathclaw in front of you, it's fine. Orbital laser cannon time.
Yes, Magnum that plays a jam every time you pull it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Gatling laser is something Jesus Christ would use, but it burns through ammo like nothing else.
Yeah.
Some melee items like the thermic lance are good even if you don't dump points into the melee skill. Boy, Cass didn't last long. In my playthrough, I rocked everything from grenade launchers to snipers, revolvers, shotguns, plasma rifles, shoulder-mounted machine guns. It's a beautiful dance of death, and you are Death's courier. But I got a question. What sort of enemies would you create in a game that takes place in a post-nuclear world? Mutated humans? Ghouls? Giant fire-breathing geckos? Two-headed cows? Radiated scorpions? Dinosaurs? In the Mojave, you're bound to run into some drugged-out creatures, and it's such a neat detail that most of the animals are reptiles because reptiles like the desert. More importantly, New Vegas answers the question, what would happen to animals in evolution post-nuclear fallout? Rather than doing what Cyberpunk did and just cluster the same enemy type together in 1,000 locations, New Vegas is actually smart where they place the enemies. They're careful not to throw any one type at you too often, so the Mojave is constantly throwing different things at you. Some baddies might seem overpowered, but they all have weaknesses. And this is where crippling limbs comes into play. Cazadors can close the gap in seconds, but if you cripple their wings, they are laughable. Knight can use Stealth Boy, so a high perception is required. Now, there is somewhat of an exploit by using a Stealth Boy and just sniping the toughest enemies in the game from afar. But
Well, I mean, it's an option that you have if you really want to play the game this way. Not restricting the player's ability to do something completely busted is also a part of the fun. And this is a point where I can't really talk on too much because I never explored it too much when it came to like the different damages to the limbs and strategically crippling certain parts in order to make fights easier. I mostly just mowed things down with my energy weapons, and it was good enough.
I guess in that case, you need to find these things before you can exploit such a strategy. While I love the game, the combat, the weapons, and the enemies, the AI is still pretty basic. I think New Vegas struggles to maintain a strong difficulty curve.
Trying.
You told me there was a game that combined the time periods of ancient Rome, futuristic Western, and World War II era. I'd say that game is probably batshit crazy. But the last thing I'd imagine is that this combo would actually work. While the writers did a kick-ass job of molding all the factions together in a cohesive world, it's also in the level and world design that Obsidian went above and beyond. They took the setting of Vegas and slapped a post-nuclear skin over it, taking inspiration from real locations right down to the nitty-gritty details.
Oh yeah, 100%. You guys were telling me all about how close it actually was to real-life locations. And it's neat that you can go and visit these places.
I wanted to sort of immerse myself more in especially the desert sort of style. I took a motorcycle trip through the desert, basically going all around the outskirts of Vegas.
I mean, they literally toured these areas to build the look and feel of the game. And I think that's why it stands out so much. It's authentic. They actually made a real Hoover Dam because of this game. That's just insane. Now, I gotta be...
Wow! Fallout New Vegas inspired the Hoover Dam? Who could have foreseen this? This must be along the same lines of how Persona 5 literally just inspired Japan.
Honest, New Vegas is kind of an eyesore for 2010. I can't tell you that it looks much better than Oblivion. There's a lot of gray, dull colors, rust everywhere. It's a wasteland act, man. What do you expect? I don't know. Most outside areas look dry and yellow while the inside of buildings is all gray. But when you see the Lucky 38 shining in the distance,
it's a stark contrast.
You feel like maybe there's hope. The city of New Vegas is a shining beacon. While you're dicking around with cazadors or doing whatever, it's a constant reminder of your ultimate goal.
I'm actually surprised how throughout my playthrough I didn't really run into cazadors until they were not an issue for me at all. Like, I was way too powerful at that point. But from what you guys have said, apparently they are the scourge of any new player, because once they poison you, it's a lot to deal with.
By keeping this landmark inside of the player from so far away, it makes New Vegas seem like a mystical place, which it is. One of the only locations that still holds a feeling of old world civilization.
The way the Lucky 38 is positioned in a place where you can see it from afar, being that sort of ultimate goal for you to reach, reminds me of how Breath of the Wild had like the final castle and the final fight happen basically within the middle of the map, yeah? And from several places, several different vantage points throughout the entire area that you were exploring, you could always see that castle, that final end goal that you were working towards. Which is really cool because, once again, that is a visual thing that the player can confirm and see that motivates them to go and do the thing that they're about to do. Now, of course, they could head there immediately, and unless if they're some sort of speedrunner and they all know all the strats and are some sort of god gamer, then they're probably going to get their asses kicked, but it's an option. Matter of fact, it's actually kind of the same thing with Fallout New Vegas too, yeah? Because you can head directly towards the Lucky 38, but you're gonna run into some really tough enemies if you do that. Just good RPG design.
Because of the setting and different themed casinos, the Strip feels like an amusement park of sorts, an escape from the dreary atmosphere outside. There's one quest where you can recruit people to perform in the Tops Casino, and before you do, this billboard doesn't have much text on it, but as you recruit people, you not only get the coolest Magnum in the world,
do this quest,
but also see the names of the people you brought in.
Oh, that's
This
awesome.
is one of the many ways the level design changes based on your actions. New Vegas proves that you can make an immersive world without cutting-edge graphics and radiant AI. With Wild West-style saloons, futuristic atomic bomb museums, there's a lot of cool stuff to see and do. Through clever use of landmarks, there's always something interesting off in the distance. It might just make you want to see what that giant dinosaur is all about. Then you go in and discover a
You know, I had never seen the Fallout TV show. I didn't watch season 1. But when I saw the giant dinosaur in the season 2 trailer, that hit me, man. These places are just so iconic.
And that's what's so magical about these types of open world adventures, but New Vegas in particular. You can pick any direction you want, and eventually you'll find something interesting. You'll discover new stories, locations, and people.
Agreed, yeah.
Howdy, folks, it's Mr. New Vegas, and I have a good feeling about all of you listening.
After I confronted that son of a bitch, Benny,
What in the goddamn?
I decided to give this cool cat a chance to explain himself. Oh, who would have guessed this two-timing Fink would double-cross me and send some hitmen my way?
Really? So that's how it played out for you.
Now, however you choose to deal with Benny, it kickstarts the second act. And soon the player will get a chance to interact with each major faction. But we have a big question to answer. Why are politics in video games so bad? Dumb memes aside, New Vegas is the epitome of next-level writing.
Nobody's dick's that long.
I think the best games are those that get you to think on a deeper level.
Yeah, for sure. Those are the games that you remember. Like, I still fondly remember my time playing Nier Replicant and Nier Automata because of those exact reasons. Well, maybe not so much the political aspect that Fallout New Vegas plays into, but more so just the questions of morality and the choices that the game wants you to make, how that affects you as an individual, and the things that you learn about yourself because of those experiences. Video games as an art form are unique in the fact that they sort of specialize in these things. And I feel like whatever game, well, it certainly depends on the genre of game, but let's say an RPG game within the same vein as Fallout New Vegas, for example, is unable to achieve this, then I feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity. We didn't utilize the gaming medium to its fullest extent.
Story. The player will have made a choice of which political and social ideology they put into power. Whether you realize it or not, New Vegas is asking you philosophical questions about what the most ideal type of society is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you put politics into a game and make it interesting.
There are literally 125,000 factions in Fallout New Vegas. We're probably gonna have to cut some of them. There's the NCR, there's Caesar's Legion, there's the PTA, Mickey Mouse Club, Alcoholics Anonymous is in there right now.
But who is most fit to rule the Mojave? One thing's been made clear so far in our travels, this place is fucked. Someone needs to step in. Well, let's meet our contestants. Mr. House, current dictator of New Vegas who wields an army of Securitrons. New California Republic, the old soul of America, a democratic organization that suffers from internal corruption. Caesar's Legion, a brutal imperialistic totalitarian dictatorship based on ancient Rome. And Yes Man, an independent robot seeking to liberate New Vegas from the other three. But the Mojave is also made up of smaller but still important groups. The Great Khans, a nomadic tribe of raiders and drug-dealing hippies.
Okay, if there was a choice that I could have made, I would have picked the ending with the followers of the apocalypse. They seem like the most genuinely nice people that I agree with for the most part on all the things that they do. So if there was an ending for them, I would have chosen them. But otherwise, yeah, I picked Yes Man because I couldn't trust anybody else. And it ended the way that it ended. It's not like it was such a good ending, but as I said, every other ending, there's some downsides to it. There's always going to be. True for the game as well as in real life.
Delicious.
The Brotherhood of Steel, a militarized secret society bent on preserving technology and human knowledge. The Boomers, an isolated band of explosive fanatics. Now, Obsidian did a phenomenal job giving personality and backstory to each group. More importantly, Obsidian answers the question, what kind of groups would rise from the ashes in a post-apocalyptic world set around New Vegas?
How would people react
a bunch of Elvis Presley impersonators, that's for sure.
The thing of it is, we don't even know what his name was. All the posters just referred to him as
the King.
This is where New Vegas reveals its royal flush.
Oh, this is so fun, man.
All the factions are at a poker table, and the courier is the dealer, able to stack the deck against whoever they choose. At first I was like, well, these two are dictatorships, and I'm not a big fan of those, and we need some kind of government, so Yes Man is out of the picture. That leaves the NCR. Surely a democracy is the best choice, right?
Surely.
I love democracy.
What's that, Colonel? You want me to assassinate the leader of the Great Khans?
I don't enjoy killing.
That sounds kind of evil, but...
We don't have time for diplomacy.
All right, if it's for the greater good. So there you are, helping to rebuild America. You go back to the Colonel and she says, hey, can you exterminate every single last person in the Brotherhood of Steel? Is there a peaceful option? No. Good thing I sided with the NCR.
We don't have time
no
for
way
negotiations.
am I regretting this decision at all.
That actually makes me want to replay and join the NCR. That sounds a lot more interesting than I thought it would end up being. I thought it'd be like, oh, we'll be the goody two-shoes and try to maintain appearances. But no, we really get down to the nitty-gritty of democracy. Really hell divers chewing this.
Vegas has such a unique approach to morality because the Big Four all have compelling reasons for why they should rule, but also have crippling flaws. The new California Republic is the antithesis to the Legion, a revival of old world values like democracy, liberty, freedom, law, and order. But everywhere you go, you hear people complaining about their lack of organization, the bureaucracy that prevents them from making real changes.
The water ration's still a problem, and the NCR doesn't look like it's going to do anything about it anytime soon.
Some say the old world values they parade around are the same ones that led to nuclear war in the first place.
The bear grows without structure, follows a symbol without knowing its history.
Bear and the bull.
As you travel, the areas controlled by the NCR are often plagued by raiders, internal conflict, something the Legion doesn't suffer from.
Look, counter-argument. The NCR Ranger armor looks sick.
The NCR is spread so thin that troopers are constantly requesting your help because they have no reinforcements, no backup communication. The NCR simply doesn't have the manpower or resources to truly unify these groups. Hell, they can't even unify themselves.
People turning against each other when the Mojave's at risk of falling? If the Republic's sinkhole progress doesn't kill us, greed will.
You can actually use this knowledge to convince the final boss, Legate Linnaeus, to back down on his campaign. The NCR also seems to be incapable of negotiating peacefully with groups, instead opting to just kill everyone.
My God, they did that to the Kings? Are you kidding me? If you said, what the frick? But the Kings are cool. How could you do this to them? I guess all in the name of control, right? Ugh.
Shocking lack of diplomacy and discipline across the ranks.
I've told him he could make my job a whole lot easier if he would just let me shoot anyone who talks back to me.
This is the woman in charge of interrogating prisoners in a democratic society. And she's a lieutenant. You could say the NCR has good intentions, but it's hard to put faith in the way they operate. The NCR hasn't proven that their type of society will work long term.
As a young man, I was taught to venerate President Tandy of Shady Sands, the founding mother of the new California Republic. Did you know her presidency lasted 52 years?
That's a very
and that her
long
father,
presidency.
Aradesh, was the Republic's first president? Does that sound like a democracy to you? Or a hereditary dictatorship?
Kaisar has a point.
Legion, led by one of
I can't believe it. I can't believe I said it. This guy whose intelligence is so damn low, I think it's even lower than like a mole rat is. He's actually spitting facts. But man, dude, there's so many angles to this that I didn't even know about. I realized that they were there, but learning about them and hearing about them is... God, Paulo New Vegas was so damn good.
the best written characters in gaming, the Legion operates as ancient Rome did. By conquering smaller tribes, destroying their culture, and merging everyone under a single banner and culture. Throughout your travels, the Legion's brutality is always on full display. You'll see crucified bodies wherever they go. Ask anyone and they'll tell you tales of murder, war, slavery, and death.
Worst of the worst. A tribe of degenerate losers led by a creep.
Slavers, killers, and all other kinds of trouble.
Even Legion soldiers will tell you of how their tribes were conquered. They don't tell you how they've been brainwashed to believe in this brutal society. Caesar himself rules with an iron fist and punishes his soldiers harshly for failure.
The legionaries are lined up in ranks. Every 10th man steps forward and is beaten to death by his brothers. It instills a certain robust obedience.
How could you possibly find any good in the Legion when it's portrayed as this horrible empire? Well, the Caesar does make compelling arguments.
I'd seen what had become of the NCR's attempts to emulate the culture of pre-war America. The infighting, the corruption. Rome was a highly militarized autocracy that effectively integrated the foreign cultures it conquered. It dedicated its citizens to something higher than themselves, to the idea of Rome itself.
Civilization after the nukes was basically reset to a blank slate. And despite all of ancient Rome's problems, it was one of the longest lasting civilizations of all time. Is it really so bad to unify everyone under a single banner for the time being? Much like Rome in its glory days, the Legion doesn't have much trouble with raiders, criminals, and chaos. It's a very structured society, and there is peace within it through threat of force. But at the same time, Caesar is also just a man who found some ancient books and said, yeah, this'll work for the next 1,000 years.
True.
I spent 2 centuries searching for the
crippling flaw with that philosophy.
It's my invention, my property, mine! Now be a good courier and deliver it!
Give me that chip. No, sir.
And then there's Mr. House, the man responsible for saving Vegas before the nukes went off. And he has remained its sole proprietor ever since, restoring power to the city through Hoover Dam. Mr. House's life work has been to restore New Vegas to its former glory.
Revenge doesn't interest me. Progress does.
He's cunning, shrewd, and looks down upon the Legion and NCR as groups that haven't learned from the past. Mr. House, too, is a pretty compelling choice.
Give me 20 years, and I'll reignite the high technology development sectors. 50 years, and I'll have people in orbit. 100 years, and my colony ships will be heading for the stars to search for planets unpolluted by the wrath and folly of a bygone generation.
He got Vegas this far, right? But by siding with Mr. House, you're putting all your faith in a single man, a dictator who's hidden himself from the rest of the world.
I prefer the term autocrat.
He's also a firm believer in not dictating what people do. So he doesn't have any plans to fix the rest of the Mojave's problems. He just wants Vegas to continue being what it is. Mr. House lacks the ambition for change the other factions have.
What I did to you was rotten. But if you think House, the NCR, or Caesar won't kill to put Vegas in their pocket, I really did blow out your brains.
And finally, there's the independent yes man, programmed by Benny with a plan to take control of the Strip by using the Platinum chip. This option allows the player to choose what they do with the other minor factions, but they will have to kill Mr. House and beat both the Legion and NCR at Hoover Dam. While independence sounds fine and dandy, without a strong leader or system of government, everywhere inside and out of Vegas will succumb to chaos and disorder. Hot damn, is that complex or what? This is why the 4 choices are so hotly debated amongst fans, even to this day. Which is the best option? It's entirely subjective. There's so many deep stories here, a lot of the themes.
Bro, this reminds me of Fire Emblem Three Houses. And now, even till this day, there are still discussions being had of who was right and who was wrong. People will defend their lord, their chosen lord, till the day they die. But they'll never be able to agree. And I guess that's just humanity in a nutshell. But I love that type of writing. I wish there were more games out there, especially when it came to Fire Emblem, that redid things like that. Maybe with a bit better writing, a little more detail, like how Fallout New Vegas was able to get into, and a lot more nuance to each and every single decision. But yeah, like hearing about all the other choices that were made and the consequences that come from those choices actually just made me want to play the game even more, or I suppose replay the game. It's just so fascinating to be able to see those things from different perspectives, a new angle, It feels like a completely different game at that point.
With the companions and factions are all about letting go. Boone's PTSD from the death of his wife because of a miscommunication and getting revenge because of it. Veronica wishing the Brotherhood would change and adapt to prevent them from dying out and failing their purpose. The Great Khans holding on to their past glory after years of crippling defeats.
My tribe deserves better than this.
Caesar holding on to the ancient ways of Rome, unwilling to face the facts that his style of rule is brutal. The factions all talk shit about each other, and what's interesting is they're not wrong, but they are wrong about themselves. Caesar is just as unwilling to admit his flaws as the NCR or Mr. House is, and yet despite all their differences, there's one thing everyone has overlooked: war. You people have lived in this chaotic hellhole for 200 years, and you still haven't figured out why war is bad and you shouldn't do it?
To do this.
In Fallout New Vegas, the people still haven't learned to make peace. Despite that
But
being
it's such a fitting line, though, when you put everything into perspective. Wow. Just wow, man.
Constant reminder of the state they are in currently. Obsidian went to such great lengths to characterize each faction and make them feel real and compelling in their own way. It's such a profound game where different ideals and philosophies clash against each other. I find it immensely fitting that there is no peaceful solution in a game that begins with the words,
War. War never changes.
Exactly.
And so the courier who had cheated death in the cemetery outside Good Springs cheated death once again, and the Mojave Wasteland was forever changed.
Finally, there is the climactic Battle of Hoover Dam, and once you claim victory for the faction of your choice, the end credits roll and let you know how your decisions have shaped the world and people around you. Are you satisfied with them? Did you make the right moves? At the end of it all, I was still left wondering. Fallout New Vegas is much more than a spin-off. It's easily one of the most engaging adaptive video games I've ever played, and arguably the best Fallout. Choice is its greatest weapon. To be who you want to be, play how you want to play, to choose your enemies and your allies. New Vegas poses deep philosophical questions about morality. It goes beyond just being a fun shooty RPG. New Vegas is a game that'll make you think. It has such a unique setting that feels real, like Obsidian thought of every single way in which these societies would operate. New Vegas is jam-packed with likable, deep characters and the best quest design I've ever seen. If this game had a remaster to iron out its still-present technical problems, update the graphics and the engine,
it'd be amazing.
Would be undoubtedly a masterpiece. Its successes are made all the more impressive with its short development time. And the way it melds so many styles and time periods together is simply remarkable. I have no shortage of good things to say about it. And that is why Fallout New Vegas is so awesome.
This was a phenomenal video that really encapsulated my feelings that I couldn't necessarily explain about why I enjoyed the game so much. It really only comes to light once you've played through all the different endings. So you'd probably have to play through the game a couple of times, but yeah, that whole, like, all the different choices that you've made ultimately end up in the same way, which is the fact that war never changes. Really just bringing things all around in a perfect circle that just feels so satisfying. And the slow escalation of the intensity of the situations that you're in until the final conflict at Hoover Dam was a progression that I never really thought about, but it's just such good writing. It doesn't feel unexpected and unearned. It just feels so good to experience that journey. And I suppose a bittersweet ending to live with the choices that you made. Maybe understanding a little bit more about yourself as a person too. Fallout New Vegas is really damn good, and if you can overcome some of the jankiness that you're definitely going to experience, I would highly recommend playing it. Hell, even somebody who's never seen a Fallout game or heard of Fallout New Vegas before after watching this video might love the game already without even having touched a second of it. Just the story itself and the themes that are presented are so compelling. I love it so much, man. Hopefully someday I'll get to experience the same thing in a different RPG that we stream here on the channel. But anyways, dudes, that's gonna do it for me today. If for some reason you haven't already, go and support the Act Man. Link at the very top of the description, like always. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.